Hello humans, I'm Yoshiller, and I'm creating a kind of half update video, I guess. It's kind of just like a casual video where I'm just gonna ramble off about some stuff that's been going on in my life recently, and I wanted to explain why my uploads have been slow as of late. And also, I'm gonna be talking about health problems, so trigger warning for that because I will get into detail a little bit, and I know some people don't want to really discuss bodily functions, so if that grosses you out, then you might want to leave. Otherwise, I will just kind of explain what's been going on, and I'll have some gameplay B-roll footage in the background. Hopefully it's something fun, something random, something amusing. I don't know. I would just rather have some gameplay playing in the background of all of this rather than just having a black screen, you know? So hopefully it's something funny and you're just like, what am I looking at? I don't know. Truthfully, I wanted to do more videos like this, and that will be my plan whenever I do eventually launch my Blue channel, which is a separate project that I need to do, and I better explain that in my 2024 plans video. I'm just very behind on everything, so if you want to know more about that, there's a YouTube card for that in the top right corner. But otherwise, I'm already on a tangent. That's why I don't do videos like this very often. So let's talk about what's been going on. So I was recently in the hospital and I just got released and I arrived back at my apartment a little over an hour ago at the time of me recording this. I was at the hospital for close to 72 hours and I first admitted myself on Monday, September 9th around 4:30 a.m. or so. And I guess before I really dive into that, I will explain my lifestyle a bit, and I might put some timestamps in the description down below so you can just kind of jump to the parts that you want to hear. But let's talk about my lifestyle for a bit. So as it currently stands, I live by myself in a studio apartment in Seattle, and I work 40 plus hours a week. And I'm very fortunate. I happen to like my job. The other employees there happen to like me, and that's all I can really ask for. So I get called in a lot to do some extra work because people call out, so they try to call anyone else that is willing to do the work, and I usually say yes. There was even a point in time where I worked 12 days in a row. Not because I needed the extra money, although, don't get me wrong, the extra money is nice, right? But I'm a team player, because I've been at work where there've only been like 2 or 3 employees on the job, and that just sucks, right? So I go in and I try to help out as best I can. And what that means is my time to work on videos sometimes gets extremely limited, and that's the primary reason why I've slowed down on video production. Video production is not my main source of income anymore. I go and work this job to make ends meet, and then any spare time I do have, I work on videos. And I want to do both, because I do like the job. It's good for my day-to-day, and it's also good for like my physical and mental health, which I'll get into in a second. But then I work on videos because that's my true passion. That's what I want to make a career out of, and that's my side hustle. So I'm still building my portfolio. It's my creative outlet. I still edit for clients, but throughout the week I work 40 plus hours at this retail job. And there's a little bit more than just the actual physical working there, right? Like I walk to work. I walk 2 miles to work every day. And that's almost every single day of the year, regardless of how rainy or windy it is. Like, yeah, if weather conditions are extreme, then I might take a different method of transportation, but I otherwise walk to work, and then I stand at work for 8 to 9 hours, and then I used to walk home. Nowadays, I do take the bus home, but I definitely used to walk home, and I had no issue getting 15,000 to 20,000 steps a day on my Fitbit. So I was definitely a very physically active person. And also just like going to work in some regards makes me a little more efficient with my video work, because my video editing work is so valuable now because I have so little of it. It kind of forces me to become more efficient with the videos that I do. So if I start a work shift in the morning and I get off at, let's say, 4 p.m., then I rush home. By the time I get home, it's like 5 p.m., and then I spend the rest of the day working on videos. Usually. Sometimes I really am so exhausted from work that all I want to do is go home and go to sleep, right? And then I'll have days where I work an evening shift, so I might not start until 2, 3, 4 in the afternoon. And so I try to work on videos before I go to work. And that's a little rough because sometimes I'm now working against a time limit. Like I have to be at work at this time, so I got to be out of my apartment by 3 o'clock or whatever, right? So that can be rough, and that's mainly why video production is slowed down, is because I am prioritizing my day job, and then I only have so many hours to work on video production. And then I'm also trying to make sure that I participate in these timed events and trying to make sure that I can record multiplayer videos with schedules that work on my friends' times, right? So it's a lot, but I'm okay, and I'm very fortunate to be okay. And of course, just so we're clear, my life is not perfect, right? Like, not every single day is hunky-dory. I have a lot of days that don't go according to plan, and I have days where I've got personal drama going on in the background, and yeah, there are a fair number of days where I do get sad that things are not the way I want them to be. But ultimately, I do acknowledge that I am otherwise in a comfortable lifestyle. I have a job that I like, I work with people that like me, and I get to do a lot of fun and cool stuff. And I keep telling myself that, and so ultimately, while I'm comfortable, I try not to be complacent. I want to improve my life. I want to improve my career, yada, yada, yada. But as far as the average day-to-day is concerned, I'm okay. I am in decent health physically. I'm in decent health mentally. So that's where we're at with my current day-to-day health. So that's kind of how things are now, is I live this very active and what I believe to be healthy lifestyle. Like, yeah, it's a lot of work. Yes, I probably am overworking myself, right? I do work a lot. Like, if I'm not working at my actual day job, then I'm at home working on videos, right? Like, I understand that could be stressful, but I don't really feel stressed. I'm usually pretty relaxed, pretty level-headed. Like, yeah, I get frustrated when I'm maybe editing a video and then my editing program crashes, and that's beyond my control most of the time, right? Otherwise, you're not really gonna see me, like, angrily shouting at someone, right? Unless it's in a joking manner when I'm playing a video game. But I'm never really gonna take my frustration or my anger out on someone. I'm usually pretty relaxed. Anyone that watches some of my gameplay videos, you might see that I lose at something, and I might groan for a minute, and then rub my forehead, and then make some snarky remark, and then I'll say something like, "From the top," from the top, and then I'll start over. That's just kind of my personality. And then in terms of diet, I am a picky eater. Like, I'm very picky. I have the diet of a 5-year-old, right? However, in some regards, that's also a little bit healthier for the lifestyle that I live. Like, I'm not downing double cheeseburgers and meat lovers pizza all the time, right? Like, usually I'm getting a plain sandwich. Usually I'm eating smaller food portions. And that often results in me burning more calories each day than I'm actually consuming, which, could lead into some stuff I'm going to explain later. But otherwise, like, my overall health is fine. Like, I'm underweight. I'm absolutely underweight. And I am scrawny, right? But I'm also, like, kind of lean because I'm walking everywhere. I don't have, like, a six-pack or massive biceps or anything like that. Like, I'm not a male supermodel, not by any stretch of the imagination. But otherwise, I'm usually okay. I like having a lot to do because it makes it feel like I'm actually accomplishing a lot each day when I go home. And that's good for my mental health. And good mental health leads to good physical health, and good physical health leads back into good mental health, right? So on those fronts, I'm okay. But as an aside, sadly, every once in a while, I just get these sharp stomach pains. And I've been referring to them as stomach cramps because that's what I thought they are, or thought they were. And this has just been an ongoing thing for the past couple of years, sadly. And it's been happening like once or maybe even twice a month, just for the past 2 years. And usually what it is, it's pain that's so unbearable, my body might not even accept food, and I just, like, don't eat for a day and wait for the pain to go away. And then after a day of extreme pain, it does eventually subside, and then life goes back to normal. And there was an incident 2 years ago now where the pain was so extreme that I actually did go to the hospital. And I made a tweet about this back at the time as well, because I didn't know what was going to happen or how that was going to impact my schedule. And the outpouring of support was incredible, and I really appreciate it. Like, yeah, okay, I don't expect people to go to that tweet and be like, I hope you friggin' suffer in that hospital. Like, no. But the fact that so many people did opt to say something really meant a lot. It helped me like get through that difficult time because I didn't really understand what was happening. And in that incident, I guess I'll elaborate. So this was back in 2022, and I had just come back from dinner with my grandma who was visiting in town. She took me to Benihana's, which is probably my favorite restaurant, right? And Benihana's is great, and the people cook the food in front of you, and we have a nice full course meal. My grandma literally ordered the exact same thing I ordered. She said, like, I'll have what he's having, right? So we both came home, and in the middle of the night, I experienced these severe stomach pains. Like, the pains woke me up from my sleep. I could not go back to sleep. And then a few minutes later, I was throwing up. So my mom, because I was still living with my mom at the time, she took me to the hospital. She took me to the emergency room. And at that time, they hooked me up to IV, prescribed me with some medication, and that was kind of the end of it. All we could really rule out is that it wasn't something that I ate, because my grandma ate the exact same thing, and she didn't have any issues. So it's not like I had, bad shrimp or anything. And also, again, the guy's cooking the food right in front of us. So we could see if he did anything that was unacceptable or inappropriate. But no, it was fine. It was delicious, right? So we didn't really know what it was, but with any luck, it was a one-time thing that I had to tough it out. And that's what happened over the next couple of days. I did just tough it out. And then I was able to live a somewhat normal lifestyle after that. And since then, I would experience these stomach pains about once a month. And they were never as severe as that incident back in 2022. But they would happen. And I would have those pains for a day, and I might just not eat for the day. And then eventually a day or two later, I would get some rest, and then I would be hunky-dory again. And that's just kind of how life has been for the past couple of years. We don't know the exact cause. I would say it was stomach cramps, so sometimes I would take Tums or an antacid or something. And, it was unclear as to whether or not that was actually helping. But that's all I really could do. I would drink a bunch of water, and I would have no problem going to the bathroom, but I would still have these stomach pains. And so now I live up here in Seattle by myself, and yeah, once and sometimes even twice a month now, I would get these stomach pains. And there are times at work where like I'll have these stomach pains, and I will just kind of like pace around trying to walk it off, and I will chug a water bottle and whatever. And sometimes, and if it gets really bad, I'll call a supervisor and I'll be like, hey, I really need to sit down. I don't know what's happening, but my stomach's in extreme pain right now. And they'll let me sit down and stuff. So I have had this be ongoing for a while. I'd even go to events and these stomach pains would happen and I would have to leave the event. And it was really a bummer, but that's just how it's been. So that brings us to now. Here in September 2024, I had to go to the hospital, and here's the full scoop. So I really value the time that I have off, and I really need to catch up on video production work because I have a lot of videos I need to do for clients. I have had this backlog of stuff that I've recorded, but nothing's edited. And I finally had, this week I had Sunday and Monday off. And I said, all right, I'm just gonna work on videos these days, especially on Monday. I'm not even gonna leave the apartment on Monday. I'm just gonna work on videos all day. And that's what I did. I got up around the crack of dawn, right? And was just editing and recording videos all day. And then by around 10 o'clock or so, I felt these stomach pains start to surface again. So I was like, all right, I had a whole day of working. I didn't get everything done. But if these stomach pains are gonna start, then I gotta tap out, right? So went to sleep. Then a couple hours later, at about 3 a.m., the stomach pains became very, very extreme, very unbearable. And usually my answer to that, if I am experiencing pain from these stomach cramps, is I'll get up and take a shower. I'll take another shower. So I got up, turned on the shower, nice and hot, steam, all that. I don't know, maybe it's placebo, but I usually think that helps. And I get in the shower, and about 10, 15 minutes into the shower, I obviously still have the stomach pains, but also I'm thinking like, oh, I am nauseous. I am gonna throw up. So I get out of the shower, get over to the toilet, vomit all over the place, right? and my body was shaking. I get back in the shower to rinse myself off. And then I try going back to sleep. And about 10-15 minutes of going back to sleep, I feel like I'm gonna get nauseous and throw up again. And I was like, well, I can't drink water, because I know right after you throw up, you're not supposed to drink water. So I was like, all right, I'll get back up. Tried to take another shower, that wasn't gonna happen. I was like, nope, my body definitely needs to throw up again. So I vomited again. And after the second time, my body was shaking, and my body was like sweaty. And I know I just took a hot shower, but I was like, no, this is not like hot shower body skin. This is like fever skin. Like I feel unwell. And I looked at my face in a mirror for a second, and like, yeah, I had like gray marks under my eyes. I was still shaking. Like I simultaneously felt sweaty and cold. And I was like, oh, I'm like, I've thrown up twice now. The stomach pains are still so extreme, and taking a hot shower is not doing anything. I gotta go to the hospital. So I throw my pajamas back on. At this point, it's about 4:30 in the morning, and I'm about to go outside. Thankfully, I live in the city, so hospitals are within walking distance. So I'm about to leave my apartment, and then I call my work, and usually if I have to call out, I'm somewhat like humorous about it. I work so often that hopefully they realize that if I'm calling out for a good reason, right? So usually if I call out because I'm sick, I make a joke saying like, I'm not gonna give you a fake cough or do a pretend weak voice or something, but hopefully you can just take me at my word that I'm actually sick and that I'll hopefully be back tomorrow. Okay, thanks, bye. But this time, no, I didn't really have humor. I was like, hey, I'm really not feeling well. I gotta go to the hospital, and actually, instead of just today, you might want to take me off for the whole week. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'll follow up later. So I leave the voicemail. I walk outside. So I'm in my pajamas, and I have a zip-up hoodie on, and I don't have to go very far to the hospital, but I do have to like cross a couple streets. And just waiting at those intersections, trying to get to the hospital, I am shaking, and I have a genuine concern that I am going to pass out. And so I'm telling myself like, oh, I just got to get within 50 feet of the door, and then they have to take me. Just got to get a little further. But the pain was just unbearable. So I'm like pacing around, kind of like, tightening my fists, like kind of like raising my fist to the sky, looking like a crazy person, But eventually the light would turn green, and then I'm like almost kind of like limping. Like it sounds like I'm angrily limping across the street, but really I'm just like shaking, trying to make it to the hospital. And like I wanted to cry, but my body was so dehydrated from all the vomiting earlier that my body could not like generate tears. So I was in this weird state of shivers and nausea and pain and determination, right? But I did make it inside the hospital. And I get to the front desk, and I'm like holding myself, like using my left arm across my body to hold myself while my right arm is free. And I just go like, hey, you have an emergency room? And the guy goes, yeah, man, it's just over, that elevator over there. It'll take you down a floor or two, and that'll bring you to the emergency room. And I'm like, all right, thank you. And then I walk myself over, and then, push the button for the elevator, and then I gotta wait for the elevator to get there. And again, like, I cannot stand still. I have to like move around, my whole body's shaking. I get down the elevator, get to the emergency room. It's 4:30, 4:45 in the morning. So it's just the front desk lady and like one security guard. And I get to the front desk lady at the emergency room, and I go, hey, I need to see a doctor. And she goes, okay, can I see your ID? And I go, sure. So I give her my ID, and she's writing out all the information. And then I'm kind of like starting to moan to myself. I'm like, ugh. And so I'm like now like walking in many circles. I lean up against a wall, like put my right arm against the wall, put my forehead against my arm, and then I'm using like my other arm to like hold my stomach. And security guard's just kind of like looking at me, thinking like, is he gonna like punch a wall or something? And then like I look over at him, and I try to, like, I'm shaking, but I try to give him a thumbs up. And I said like, I'll be okay. I'm in so much pain. I'll be okay. And then eventually they call me in pretty quickly because I'm the only person in the waiting room. And so that nurse says like, hello. All right, I'm gonna take your vitals real quickly, okay? I say, okay. And so I sit down, and I'm saying to her, like, I'm so sorry. All my body wants to do is go to sleep. I might pass out at any second. And she goes, okay. I just gotta take your vitals. So she wraps the little white thing around me to check my heart rate. And as soon as she tightens it on my arm, my right arm starts feeling numb. And I immediately tell her, like, oh, I'm losing feeling in my right arm. And she goes, okay, I just need a minute. And I go, oh, I'm really not feeling good. And she goes, hang in there, sweetie, we're almost done. And then I threw up all over the place again. Just right there in the room. Just like, I looked away from her, so it's not like I threw up on her, but I threw up all over the place. And she goes, oh, honey, you couldn't have toughed it out for a few more seconds? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I really tried. And then I'm still throwing up. And then she gives me a little vomit bag, and then she says on her little, like, earphone piece, like, hey, can I get some towels for the check-in room? And then they almost immediately after that put me on a bed and wheeled me over to one of their emergency rooms. Shortly after that, they hooked me up to IV and gave me some nausea medication, and not too long after that, they gave me some morphine as well, so that definitely helped. But yeah, I was just in extreme pain, and I was like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know why this is happening. I had to go to the hospital. Like, I'm throwing up. I don't know what to do. And obviously they all say, like, you were right to come to the hospital. You're doing the right thing. About 30 minutes to an hour into my actual check-in there, they wheel me into like an x-ray room, like I guess it's an MRI. They put my lower half of my body into the machine, do some scans. The operator says, it's gonna feel like you're peeing. It's gonna be really warm. And you know what? That description was not inaccurate. So they do some scans on the lower half of my body, and then they bring me back into the emergency room, and then the doctor comes in later, and he's a nice fellow. He's got a good sense of humor, which is great. I love having funny doctors that are able to, like, take a joke or whatever. So he comes in, and he's like, how you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm here. He goes, fair enough. And, I'm not trying to be, like, sassy to anyone, right? I'm not trying to badmouth anybody, but usually my method of getting through these tougher situations is also to make jokes. I don't want to. The last thing I want to do is, like, give these nurses and give these doctors a hard time, because I know they're trying to help me, right? And I know that these are very high stress jobs, so I figure if I can joke with them and they can joke with me, that's even better. So I say, yeah, I'm here. And he goes, yeah, okay. So you have bowel obstructions. Like, the entire lower half of your body is obstructed. Your intestines are inflamed, so much so that they, like, ballooned, and that's made other parts of your intestines so tightened that nothing can get through. And that's why you're throwing up. So if you try to consume anything, it is going to come right back up, because it will not pass through your intestines, and your body doesn't know how to react to that, so it just throws up. I said, that sucks. So he says, okay, we're gonna put you on IV. We're gonna keep you on IV because you can't take anything orally until your blockages go away. And they don't know if it's an infection, and they don't know if it's something like Crohn's disease, because my family does have a history of Crohn's disease. And growing up, I was never diagnosed with it, so I didn't know that I had it. But we're not ruling it out just yet, because we're not certain that it's Crohn's disease either. But here's the problem with that. So one solution to all of this is to undergo surgery, where they do surgery on my actual intestines and they cut away part of it. But if I have Crohn's disease, then that's not a definite fix, because that means that this pain could come back again. And surgery, no matter how big or small, can be life-altering. So it's scary to think about. But at the time, I'm kind of just thinking to myself, like, do whatever you got to do. Like, I'm already in the hospital. I'm already in the emergency room. Like, I want to put an end to this. I don't want to deal with this pain anymore. This has been horrible. So if you got to do surgery, you got to do surgery. But surgery is otherwise a last resort, right? So he kind of runs that by me. He said the other option, if it's an infection, is you give me medication like steroids. However, if it isn't, at the same time, if it is an infection, giving me steroids could actually make the infection worse. So unfortunately, there was no quick solution, and they just needed to monitor me for a day or two. And again, since I can't take anything orally, that means I'm only taking the IV. So I kind of just have to sit there with a bunch of needles in my arms. Otherwise, they were saying when they were actually doing lab work and taking blood and stuff, they said obviously my white blood cell count and stuff like that was higher because my body was in pain, but otherwise that my health was fine. That my heart rate and everything was like in a controllable state, so that's good. So I told them, like, yeah, there's a decent chance the pain might just go away after a day or two without any medication or anything. But I would still like to know the cause of this, and I still would like to know the solution. So they were telling me that they would eventually have to do a colonoscopy and what do you call it? An upper endectomy, where they... So a colonoscopy is when they go in through your rear end, and then endectomy, I think, if I'm saying the right word, is when they go in through your mouth instead, right? They would probably have to do both. And it was uncertain if that was going to happen during this hospital visit, or if they would like postpone that and do it in a future hospital visit. Because ideally they want to get me out of this hospital as soon as possible, right? So as soon as I started showing symptoms of improvement, they would be more inclined to do a colonoscopy at a future date. Anyway, I sat in the AR for a good 12, 13 hours straight, but fortunately, my body was finally able to pass out and go to sleep, so I was finally able to rest a bit. And while I was still in pain, the pain was not nearly as severe as it was when I was first wheeled into the hospital. Or when I guess I walked into the hospital. It was not nearly as severe as it was when I was first wheeled into the ER, I guess. So I was very glad for that, and it did make going through those 12, 13 hours much more simple. And of course, during my times of trying to rest, different doctors, gastroenterologists and whatever would come in and bring some different diagnoses to me. But otherwise, I was usually sleeping or just kind of checking my phone. And I made a tweet again saying like, hey, I'm in the hospital. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just in a lot of pain. And for the record, I knew I would be okay. I just didn't know how long it was going to take, Like, I'm not... I'll knock on wood here. I'm not dying. I'll be okay. It's not like I have an open wound or anything. I'm just experiencing severe stomach pains. But I'm at the hospital now. They're monitoring me, so I knew I would be okay. But still, the outpouring of support that I got on Twitter when I posted about this really did make things a lot better. There were people that were sending me messages on Twitter or through Discord. Some people like I haven't even spoken to in 2 or 3 years that sent me like these huge paragraphs of messages, and it really did just mean a lot. So it was nice to like rest for 2, 3, 4 hours, phase back into reality, open my phone, read a couple of messages, and then clock back out, right? Like that was really nice. There are even people on Twitter that I don't even know that were responding to my post saying, hey, I don't know you, but your post showed up on my timeline, so I hope you get well soon. And you know what? Again, like, they didn't have to show me their support. They really didn't. But it really did mean a lot that they did. So thank you to everyone that showed your support on those posts. It really did help. It really, really did help. But yeah, after 12, 13 hours in the ER, they finally wheeled me up to a regular room upstairs. So I got a room. I had the room to myself, so that was nice. But again, I kind of just slept for most of it. Didn't really want to watch TV. Watched like 1 or 2 YouTube videos. I put on some music. I didn't have my Nintendo Switch or anything with me, but then I was also thinking, oh, maybe it's for the better. I don't really want to play anything. And these days, like when I'm traveling, I don't even bring my Switch with me. Usually, I've actually been bringing my Nintendo 3DS, and I've been playing games like Pokemon Puzzle Challenge and stuff like that. Usually, that's what I'm playing, because I'd rather my Switch just be at home because I'm working on videos, right? But I was trying to tell myself, like looking at positives, like at least I was able to go to PAX West, right? Hopefully I can still participate in like this Splatoon 3 Grand Fest event this upcoming weekend. That was mainly on my mind. Like, I hope I'm out of the hospital by the weekend so I can play Splatoon. That's where my head's at. But otherwise, yeah, I just kind of sat around, hooked up to this IV, just sleeping for many, many hours at a time. And then when the pain would rise back up, I'd call in a nurse, and they'd give me another shot of morphine. The morphine initially would actually make me a little nauseous, so sometimes they would have to give me anti-nausea medicine too. But otherwise, yeah, no water, nothing to swallow. But that also meant that I still kind of had vomit mouth, I guess, because right before I went to the hospital, I was throwing up, right? And then they tell me I can't take anything orally. So this entire time, like, my throat's feeling dry, my mouth's a little dry. So later on, they did give me like a little swab that I could use to just like, I guess, rehydrate and clean my mouth, but you don't swallow anything. You're still spitting up and whatever. They also gave me this nice goodie bag of other supplies too, like hairbrush, toothbrush, hand sanitizer, hand sanitizing wipes. Just like, I don't know, just like a little goodie bag. So I took that home when I eventually got released from the hospital as well. Yeah, otherwise, the nurses and the doctors, they took very good care of me, and I, tried to be a nice patient. I tried to be patient with them, if you would. As I said earlier, I know they have a very stressful job, and the last thing I want to do is be one of those like rude people in the office that's just like constantly demanding things of them. And I know like I'm in my right to do that, but also like I know I'll be okay. If I'm just supposed to sit here hooked up to the IV for another 20 hours, then that's what's gonna happen, right? And I would just call them in whenever the IV bag needed to be swapped out. So that's just how it was, and they needed to wait for me to use the bathroom. They needed to wait for me to make a bowel movement. And I wasn't really able to do that for the first couple of hours. And it was a long process, but eventually I was able to go to the bathroom. And the first time I was actually able to have a proper bowel movement was probably like 16 to 20 hours into my visit, right? So it took some time. But eventually I did have that first bowel movement, and from there, that was kind of like jumping over the first major hurdle because it started to exponentially increase from there. So maybe it took me 19, 20 hours to have my first bowel movement, and then the second one was only 7 hours later. And then after that, it was 5 hours later. And then I started to have bowel movements every 3-4 hours, right? And it got to the point, so I had a whole day where I did nothing but sit on the bed with an IV hooked up to me, and doctors came in every day. Like that was a good second day, right? I did not do anything. Did not get up other than to go to the bathroom. But eventually, after that second day, when my bowel movements were a bit more common, that's when they were ready to say, okay, let's get ready to get him out of here, basically. So I was now peeing like every 3 hours, and it was a lot. And yes, I was having loose bowels as well. But I was consistently going. So it got to the point where the IV that was hooked up to me was like just passing through me so frequently that they now had to take me off the IV, which is like both a good and a bad sign, right? Because I was saying, hey, I'm actually feeling a little lightheaded now because now my body's going too much. So they took me off the IV for a bit, and then about 12 hours, like 10 hours after that, they sent me home. In the midst of everything, my mom did come out to visit. My mom does not live here in Seattle. I don't have family in Seattle. I live here by myself, so she flew out to see me. I initially told her not to come visit because I told her, like, you're just gonna be sitting on a chair, and I'm already hooked up, and I've been instructed just to stay here so that they can monitor me. I don't know if there's a whole lot that you can do. But she's my mom. She flew out, and she gave me this little monkey plushie and just made sure I was okay. And thankfully my apartment's not too far away, so she stopped by my apartment and cleaned it up a bit. So I really appreciate that. And it was nice to see her. I wish it was under better circumstances, but she did come to see me, and it was nice. So otherwise, all that basically happened was I went to the hospital due to severe stomach pains. I kind of just had to wait at the hospital for 2-3 days, and then eventually they let me go home. And on that last day, right before I got released, they were saying, okay, so you can now have clear liquids. You're good to swallow since now you're actually going to the bathroom, so we now know that stuff can pass through your body. So I had clear liquids, and then about an hour or two after, they said, okay, let's try a more thicker liquid. So I got some ice cream, got some vanilla ice cream. And then about an hour or two after that, they said, okay, let's try something a little more solid. So they gave me a menu, and I said, I'm gonna get a plain burger. And they said, oh, you sure you don't want soup or something? And I said, no, I want a burger, because one, it's not too surprising to me that this is how my body's going, because this is how it's been in the past. A day or two of pain, and then a day or two later, I'm perfectly fine. So I know if this is how it is, that I'll be able to handle a plain burger. And two, let's really put it to the test, right? Like, let's really see if solid foods can pass through me. And I had that burger, and I feel fine. Right now, I feel fine. They've suggested that I have a low fiber diet for the next day or two, because I still have loose bowels. But otherwise, I am now out of the hospital. And I have the next couple of days off of work, so I might try to use that to work on videos. But otherwise, I'm primarily gonna rest. I'm just gonna go back to my bed and sleep a bit. And thankfully, my mom came by and cleaned up my apartment, so it has that nice motherly touch to it all. So it was nice to see my mom. I felt bad that she flew out here and just kind of saw me in a hospital bed for an hour, and then that was kind of the end of it. But fortunately, things are okay now. So where that leaves us now is I stopped by the pharmacy on the way out of the hospital. They did prescribe me, they're basically steroids, as I mentioned earlier. They said we're going to give it a try, because it doesn't look like it's an infection, and if it is an infection, it's not nearly as inflamed as it was when I first checked in. So we're going to try these out. I have to start with like a high dosage at first, and then after a week or two, the dosage gets lower and lower. And then in a week or two, I will also go ahead and do a colonoscopy and an upper endectomy, whatever it is. I'm gonna do both of those in a week or two, but they're gonna start me on these steroids first. And one of the side effects of taking these steroids is you might get, I guess, what people refer to as roid rage. It basically means that I'm going to be getting real angry real easily. So maybe it's not a good idea for me to record videos during that time, because I don't want some slight thing that would normally be slightly aggravating to now turn into like this huge rage moment, right? Like, maybe that's not a good sign. So maybe I'll use this opportunity to finally be editing videos, because I have this huge backlog of videos that I need to finish editing. I've got a bunch of stuff for clients that I need to finish. And then I've got like 7 or 8 Splatoon videos that still need to go out. Like, there's a big Splatoon event coming up this weekend, and I still have Splatoon event, like videos of Splatoon events, 2 or 3 events prior that need to get uploaded. So I'll probably work on those. I'll be uploading my backlog, right? That's my plan. So I'm gonna upload these Splatoon videos. I've got my PAX West vlog that I can work on. That requires me to record some narration, but I'll work on that. And then I recorded some multiplayer videos that I was able to record while I had guests in my apartment during PAX. So I'll be basically just exhausting my backlog. I'm simultaneously like catching up, but also the point of having a backlog is so that I could have more consistent uploads, but I think it's better just to exhaust it right now. Get the videos out, make sure that they're out, and that way I don't have to think about them. And then hopefully I can just record videos as normal from there. So I'm still working on Tears of the Kingdom videos and Paper Mario videos and whatnot. Those will just have to take a little temporary pause, because I've uploaded all that I've recorded for those games right now. Like, I have bits and pieces of footage for those videos, but like nothing to make full videos right now without recording for like another hour or two with commentary and everything. But as far as multiplayer videos and these Splatoon videos and whatever, like those have all been recorded a while ago. So you'll start seeing those come out in the next few days, not immediately after this video. I would still like for it to sit for a minute. But yeah, I'll be going through my backlog. I'll be finishing videos for clients. I might sit back and actually just like sit down and enjoy a game. Yars Rising just came out for the Switch, like this Metroidvania game. I'm probably just gonna sit back and play that for a little bit. Or, I don't know, ironically, I was gonna start working on this Wii Fit video, or Wii Fit U video, just before PAX West. I was gonna do this thing where like, I wanted to see how fit I was according to the game. If I played this game for a little bit every day for 30 days, and I was gonna document my health and lifestyle for 30 days. And I wanted to start it before PAX, but I was so busy right before PAX, I never got to work on it. And it would have been perfect, man, because I walked like 30,000 steps a day during PAX, but that didn't happen. So I said, okay, now that PAX is over, I can get it started now. And then I go to the hospital, right? So maybe it's for the better that I didn't start the video yet, because I don't want to be like 2 or 3 days into the video and then I'm in the hospital, right? Like that completely ruins the video. So I'll get started on that soon too, this We Fit You video. You guys will hopefully see that by the end of the year. Just like a little fun experimental type of video that I can work on. But otherwise, right now, at this point in time, I feel okay. These stomach pains can still come back. The doctors and nurses that took care of me were very professional and very courteous. And we'll see what happens with this colonoscopy in a week or two. And hopefully whatever data comes from that is the end of it, right? Like hopefully there's an actual solution that will make it so these stomach pains never happen again, because it's been going on for a while. And if it ever reaches this severity again, this pain, I gotta go back to the hospital. So ideally, I will not be making frequent visits to the hospital. Ideally, I can take this medication that they've given me. I can do this colonoscopy. They can gather intestinal tissue or whatever they need to get, and then hopefully that's just the end of it. But for right now, the plan is for me to just focus more on editing videos rather than recording videos, exhaust all these videos I have in my backlog, and hopefully get back on track, I don't know, like in a month's time, and I don't have much more of Tears of the Kingdom to record. I'm almost done with that. And Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, I friggin' love that game, so I will power through that once I get my schedule back in order. And then I go back to work next week. So I will try and resume my lifestyle, hopefully sooner rather than later. I'll post updates on Twitter and here and stuff too, to the best of my abilities. If you don't hear from me, don't assume the worst. It's probably just because I'm busy or I'm resting. So I'll be okay. Everyone's support has been so heartwarming and so validating, and I appreciate it so much. This is just a video that I wanted to make to, one, thank you guys for supporting me, and two, just to give you all an update on what's been going on. So that's where we're at. I'm out of the hospital now. I'm gonna rest, and then this video will come out at some point, and then I will play in the Splatoon Grand Fest and hopefully get a video of that out soon. And I will upload all these other Splatoon videos that I have, and then eventually I'll be caught up. And then I'll have to record more Tears of the Kingdom. So that's what's going on. Feel free to leave questions or comments. I can answer whatever I can. It's not, super personal. I guess like it's a personal problem, but it's not something I feel uncomfortable discussing. So if you guys have questions, I can answer stuff to the best of my ability. And I hope that you'll all just stick around. And if you don't want to watch my videos, hey, that's fine too. I'm making them anyway. I'm making them because I want to make them, because at least it'll also keep me busy during these days off, right? It's something I can do in my apartment. So that's where we're at. Uploading my backlog of Splatoon videos and multiplayer videos, and then I'll get back into the swing of things. All right, I'm okay. I'm gonna be okay. It's just gonna take time. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. I hope to see you all around in the future. But for now, bye-bye, humans. Whoosh.